The other show that really pissed me off, and this is a more popular series, is Code Geass. Look
There
here,
we go.
man.
I was waiting on it.
I was waiting too. I
I
didn't
think
want to
Code
take it.
Geass is what made me pick this topic. I think that's what, like, we were talking about this in the Discord, and I was like, animated fell off is a good ass topic, just because it is. You say what, Keen?
The main event.
I mean, yeah, it is the main event for like in terms of popularity for sure. Like, man, okay, so I liked Code Geass when it first came out, and that's why I mentioned the Sunrise effect, because Sunrise had the same problem with both Code Geass and Gundam 00, where like the first season was like this like captivating thing that the entire anime community was talking about when they came out. You know, unless you were like, I won't take that shot. I won't take that shot. But like the most of the anime community was like really into like Code Geass and Gundam 00, and like they went away. You know, like you get your first 25 episodes, and the show just goes away for like a season, and you get it like if the show came out in the fall, then the next time you see it is in the spring. If the show came out in the spring, the next time you see it is in the fall. So like they both went on break, and when they both came back, they weren't the same show. They weren't as good as they used to be. But I feel like Gundam 00 like weathered that storm of not being as good a lot better to me than Code Geass did. Cause like if you watch Code Geass season 1, like I remember I had a homeboy. Like when I first got to college, I'd already finished Code Geass, and I like one of my homeboys was watching it, and I was like, "Hey man, look, when you get to season 2, stop. Just pretend like you saw the ending. Like the cliffhanger is the ending. Like just move on." And he didn't take my advice. And when he finished, he was like, "I wish I hadn't finished this show. Like it wasn't as good. Like it just wasn't that. It wasn't all of that. Like the clip, like okay, season 1 ends on this cliffhanger." And if you, I mean, like we've been kind of spoiling off and on, so I'm just gonna go full spoilers. Fuck it.
I mean, look, man, Code Geass is over 10
look,
years old, man. If you ain't seen it, I mean,
if you ain't seen it by
seen
now, I mean, you just ain't watch. You don't. If you ain't seen it by now, you're not gonna watch it.
You either not gonna watch it or you'll be alright whether it's spoiled for you or not.
or you haven't been
there you
born yet
go.
or something. I don't know.
some shit like that. Yeah, exactly. So like at the end of Code Geass season 1, the protagonist Lelouch, he's like, he's been trying to keep a secret identity. He's like, they've been kind of splitting his time between being at school and being like this revolutionary fighting against this Imperial army, the Britannian army and shit. And so like you get to the end and it's like, all right, it ain't no more school shit. Like the war has broken out. The Black Knights of Zero are squared up with Britannian army, and it's just time. It's time now. And so like it ends on this cliffhanger of like Lelouch's friend Suzaku, who's like both a former childhood friend of his, but also for whatever reason a dog of Britannia, and he betrays Lelouch partially because he's just a fuck guy. Like he's just a fuck boy. Like he just he just destined to be a bootlicking piece of shit. I fucking hate that character. I'm sorry. I just fucking despise
Let's
Suzaku.
go.
But like the other half of it is like Lelouch was directly and indirectly responsible for getting Suzaku's love, Euphemia, killed. Like, and in the dumbest plot twist of the show, like where he literally confronts Euphemia, and Euphemia kind of figures out who he is, and he's like, "Man, I can't kill you. Like, you really hadn't done nothing wrong. I just take the L. Like, we're gonna have to figure some other kind of way out of this." And then he just happens to say some wild shit, and then they kind of do a callback because, like, at one point they tell you his Geass, his ability to mind control people, he'll lose control of it. And it just so happens that right at that moment, he loses control and turns her into like this psychopath who goes around killing all the Japanese. And he like, yeah, exactly, with the machine gun, she just starts gunning down Japanese.
Yeah, like
people.
he literally told her, it's like, if I wanted to control you, I could say kill all Japanese and you would do it.
And I will never forget that scene.
That was such a weird, I'll admit
that shit was,
yeah.
It was a bad, like that shit was, and they set it up, but it was still stupid in how it happened. Mm-hmm. And like, to me, that was really when the show started to fall off, but I was like, I'll follow it to the conclusion of season 1. Let's see how it ends. And it ends with like Suzaku being like, man, look, you ruined Euphemia. You used your mind control powers to turn her into a murderer. You know she was a good person. And he was like, look, I'm taking you over there to the Britannian army, yada, yada, yada. And so like they have this stalemate and it ends. And you're like, okay, well, now it's got to like build from here. Nope. They open season 2 with them back in school. Why are they back in school? Because like Keem said, everything always got to go somehow wind up in a school again. Because that's the only thing that they know how to do when they tell stories. In the same way that America always got its same fucking tropes that they got to rely on and shit. Like, people just can't break out of the fucking tropes that they constantly use to tell stories, and it sucks. So, like, we back in school with no explanation, and they spend the first 7 or 8 episodes, I think, exactly mirroring what happens in the first season 1, episode 1, mirrors season 2, episode 1, season 1, episode 2, mirrors season 2, episode 2, and it happens for like 8 episodes before they finally break away and do unique, original shit. And by that point, I'm already like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, why is this show so bad? And then by the end, I was just numb and annoyed, and I didn't care about any of the characters, and I just wanted it to be fucking over. And like, thank God they finally, put me out of my misery with the ending, or so I thought. But now the motherfucker back, the whole series is back. They making a sequel somehow. Like, they brought Lelouch back in a movie. I'm like, okay, cool, fine, whatever. Let's move on. They was like, psych, bitch, you thought for I think the 15th anniversary, they like, we bringing back Code Geass as a series. I'm like, no, the story was told. We wrapped it up. Let's move the fuck on. But no, nobody can do that anymore because it's easier to make money off of IP that you already made money off of than to create something new. So like that one always sticks in my craw. I'll never really fully be over it because the writing will always be just a little too shit. And sometimes it feels like it's shit on purpose, like it's meant to be bad. Like the whole point of it is to be a little bad and be a little silly and over the top. But that don't make it no better. Like, I'm sorry, like if you bad for like a purpose, that still makes you bad.